that can be regarded as a typical play written by Vijay Tendulkar. Santata Court Chalu Ahe is in some respect the play that can be regarded as a representative play of Vijay Tendulkar. So the experience of the play we can find is usual, and the source or the nature of the play is based on the contemporary newspaper articles, okay, real incident drawn from real life. So it is a realistic play because the storyline is drawn from contemporary situation, contemporary condition of the female in society, and based on a real incident. So this entire compositional history as recorded by the theatre historians refers to a kind of play that this group of theatre makers, they were planning to perform a kind of play at a Ville Parle. Ville Parle is located as a suburb of Mumbai. So they are going to perform this mock trial session. I refer to mock trial play that they are planning to perform on President Johnson. So while Tendulkar also was traveling by a train, it is said, written by Tendulkar himself, that he heard the conversation between the members of the party, of the team that was traveling. And based on the conversation among the members of the group, Tendulkar got the hint about the play, and the actual writing started, and Tendulkar was definitely asked by his fellow directors and actors and friends to compose a play. The play was therefore composed. It was a commissioned work based on this experience of Tendulkar when he was traveling by a train. So this play was written for the theatre group called Rangayan. And Rangayan is a very famous theatre group. Arvind and Sulabha Deshpande. Sulabha Deshpande, you are aware of great talent of Sulabha Deshpande. So Rangayan was a theatre group run by Arvind and Sulabha Deshpande, and under the instruction or request of Sulabha Deshpande, Tendulkar composed this play. And the final draft was put for rehearsals. So this play contains something that we do not usually find in other works of Tendulkar. Although in the earlier works, Tendulkar worked on a well-made story. Okay, a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, having a plot with characters well developed, and most of the stories were drawn from the middle class. There was a kind of sympathy shown, expressed through Tendulkar's analysis of character, and most of these are sentimental, tear-jerking types of plays. With this play, Tendulkar is evolving as a true artist, a great dramatist, and he's using improvisational play technique, transformational acting, multiple role play, and a kind of play that is based on situational response of characters to the evolving consequences. So this change was definitely a good mark of Indian theatre, gradually maturing. So we have here the characters like Benare, okay, Sukatme, and characters like Samant even. They are very well presented in the play. In his earlier plays, we have the representation of middle class life, and there is some idea around which the plays were composed, and society was represented as if more or less a static one. So there is some kind of ineffectual middle class type characters in his plays, and gradually as the plays progress, most of the plays of Tendulkar reveal the hypocrisy of human beings, ugly, vicious. So there is always this layer lurking under the smug surface. Everything is good, but what is brushed under the carpet is now being explored by Vijay Tendulkar. So here, when we read this play after so many years, so nearly 50 years of Tendulkar Silence the Court is a session. So we find that this play is definitely a play that introduces some serious issues related to marriage, issues related to single mother. So nowadays, single mother has been accepted by even the legal system of India. But during that period, this was very difficult. So premarital love or or conceiving a baby before marriage, these were regarded as sacrilegious, especially because of the prevalent Hindu way of life that dominated the Indian society. And the rule of patriarchy and the feudal structure was all dominant even during that period. So now when we read the play, we find something different. So here we have a mock trial scene. Even in the play, we have a mock trial scene. The original play on President Johnson is not performed, but the insert play that depends on the mock trial scene was well developed because of the performance ensemble type of Rangayan theatre. And after say 35-40 rehearsals and investing a lot of money, the play was finally performed on the stage. Initially, the play did not have a positive response from the audience. And in the next year, we have a very excellent translation by Satyadev Dubey of Theatre Unit. And in this Hindi translation of the play, Santata Court Chalu Hai, Sannata Court Chalu Hai, Satyadev Dubey's Theatre Unit produced this play in Hindi, and it also got good awards. 70 Tendulkar got the Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay award, and this play was regarded as a play of the year. So by 1971, we have seen that Sangeet Academy Award was also conferred on Vijay Tendulkar, and the play was being translated into several languages, including Bangla. I refer to Bangla language, where Shanto Court Chalu in this play in Bangla, Tripti Mitro performed the play. So she appeared in the main role of Lila Banare in the Bengali version. And this play, as we have seen, was also made into a film by Satyadev Dubey with support from the Film Finance Corporation. BBC broadcasted in English. The English subtitled and the English transcription was also used in the BBC production of the play. So by now we have more than 1,000 performances of this play on the stage, and Rangayan has always displayed in its repertory even today, and very good box office profit was earned on the basis of this play. Tendulkar was also brought to recognition, and he was to be regarded along with Badal Sarkar and Mohan Rakesh, even Girish Karnad, as a leading force in the mainstream Indian theatre movement. So audience who are for the first time watching this play could easily relate to the play, as because during that time the culture for theatre was so dominant, especially in Maharashtra, Bombay, even in Kolkata in the 70s, the theatre culture was such that audience could easily relate to the play, the experience that has been presented in the play. They can also the characters in the play. Most of the characters in the play are drawn from real life situation, real life character, typical characters placed in typical situation. And these typical situations further made interesting because of the involvement of these characters in a theatrical situation, improvisational theatrical situation. So we have a play where the legal issues are raised. Okay, familial issues are raised. Private, family, domestic life issues are raised, along with the prevalent concept of female in society, women in society. The violent impulses that are there presented in this play that are always hidden under the rich facade of normalcy. We human beings have a tendency to hide our sins, our crimes, our guilts. So that is there in this play. We have the ironies of life, ironies of human behavior. Okay, the masks that are there. To this play, there is the process, the ritualistic process of unmasking that is taking place. Comedy, of course, works on this ironic discrepancy between appearance and reality. Most of the comedy work on this gradual revelation of the character. So in Tendulkar's play, we have this excess of comedy, where we have the representation of the social situation in the most comic manner. And through this comic interaction, like the plays of Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson was an Elizabethan and Jacobean playwright whose plays actually revealed the moral hypocrisies of society. the avarice, the seven deadly sins. So Tendulkar is also working in the same tradition of comedy while exposing the characters and their violent impulses. But these violent impulses in the play that turn the entire plot into a tragic one, okay, makes this comedy, otherwise comedy, into a tragic one. So entire things that are done on the stage, playful things, as if the characters are playing with games, games people play. All these games turn violent gradually. And Tendulkar has this tendency to involve the audience as well as the characters in the thick of the action. The conflict is generated in such a way that we find that the plot reveals itself, it makes itself more visible to the audience. As a craft, theater has to be understood as a craft. As a craft, this play works on, I stated earlier, on the improvisational play technique. Improvisation means a play that is based on some situation, idea, on which some action is developed. So here the action is that they have got 3 hour waiting time. One actor is missing, and therefore one has to compensate that role. The other actors say that I will play the double role or triple role, but that is not very logical, feasible to the audience for the performance. And so say they get and start training Samant, a villager. And in order to teach this villager, they concoct a mock trial scene so that this villager is able to understand the nuances of the court proceeding. So the entire play is conceived as a game. And the idea that all that is happening on the stage is a mock, part rehearsal, partly a realistic play. But remember, the situation is real. Situation is real. Even the time and space, these are also well defined. Okay, within the space of the theater house and the time, that is the waiting time before the evening production of the play can take place. And through this, we have the entire game, the improvisational game that is taking place, happening on the stage, part mock, part in earnest. And this, of course, is the theatrical edge that the play gets. So it is a theater about theater. Silence the Court is in Session is a theater about theater. Therefore, it is both a mockery of theater, a parody of theater, as well as a kind of theater that becomes self-reflexive, and therefore meta theater. It is not a play that has an inset play like Hamlet has or the Spanish tragedy has, a play within a play. No, there is no play within a play in Tendulkar's Silence the Court is in Session. Rather, what is there is a conscious use of theater as a game, okay, theatrical activity as a game, and the mock theater procedure, mock trial procedure as the central content of the play. So the mock element is all pervasive. The parody is always almost pervasive throughout the play. What we are actually witnessing is the enactment of a rehearsal that is in progress. Okay, they are rehearsing for the evening play, and through this rehearsal, they are also teaching Samant how to act. In this rehearsal, they are not taking any kind of fictional subject or a subject that is outside them. Rather, they are including a subject that is related to their life. Okay, the subject here is Leela Banare and her love for Professor Damle, and the secrecy that is related to this illicit love relationship, because Professor Damle is a married man. So this game sequence, nowadays we find in so many plays such games are often involved. Tom Stoppard, you know, in 1968 wrote several plays using this same technique, improvisational technique. So 1968, Tom Stoppard is composing his famous play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So these two characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, are taken from the work named Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, are taken from two characters taken from Shakespeare's Hamlet. If you just recall the story of Shakespeare's Hamlet, there we find these two school friends of Hamlet. They are engaged by King Claudius to spy on the activities of Hamlet, inform the king why Hamlet is behaving in such a manner, what are his secret plans, is he planning to avenge the death of his father? Is he planning something against the king? So Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they are employed by King Claudius. And finally, when Hamlet commits a crime, kills Polonius accidentally, so he tries to escape from the land, and King Claudius arranges for Hamlet's escape to England and asks these two courtiers, friends, fellow friends of Hamlet, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to accompany Hamlet. On the way, the ship is attacked by pirates, and Hamlet, to his astonishment, finds the letter sealed, kept in the custody of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, in which a request to King of England is written by King Claudius, requesting King of England to execute Hamlet. So when Hamlet finds this letter, he replaces his name with the names of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, when they reach England, they are executed by the king. So in this political story of Hamlet, two innocent people, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they are executed, they are killed. In Tom Stopper's play, these two characters come on the stage again. Okay, entering into that fictional space of Shakespeare's Hamlet and asking the playwright Shakespeare, asking Hamlet, the central character, what is the reason behind their death? Why were they killed? So that is a question raised. Similarly, in this play, again 1968 play, Silence the Court is in Session, we have the game sequence appearing in the play. And here we have real characters drawn from real life, placed in real situation, rehearsing on the play that they are going to perform, a play that is not performed. And through this rehearsal, they are representing the crisis in their life. They are actually narrating different stories, interrelated stories, the stories that are mainly related to Leela Banare. All the characters are involved in this story. Even Samant, who was an outsider, is gradually involved in the story. So all the characters are caught up in action. I remember the player king in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, saying that we are tragedians, we are opposite to people. Okay, our task is to reveal people caught up in action. That is our task. So here we find through this rehearsal, through this game, the characters are all caught up in action. And to this caught up in action game that they are playing, hide and seek game that they are playing, what is revealed is the hardcore truth related to their lives. The secret stories of their lives, these are all revealed. So there is much of physical horseplay movement in the play, and we have a structure around which the entire play is revolving, the idea of game, and the games turned out to be hostile and reversing. We have Benare, who appears to be very childish at the beginning of the play, appears to be very playful, gradually is caught up in the action, is trapped, and like a trapped convict in the barricade, she is being forced to confess her love for Professor Damle, and through this confession, she is also exposing other characters who are interrelated. So this is a story where we have multiple layers. The members of the troupe enter the room. We find that there's exchange of their normal cordiality, and there is also the asides that are delivered. So everyone appears to be very good, formal, with polite, meaningless nods. They are talking to each other. But behind that, there is something hiding. And this hidden truth about them is gradually revealed. So we have theater activities that are reduced, and the personal expectations and letdowns are released in the play. Even Leela Banare talks about the characters when she is exposing the characters, and we will find that interestingly in the play, when Banare is exposing the characters, they are exposed with dual personalities. Say Sukatme in this play is a briefless lawyer in real life, but in the play, what is he doing? He is playing the role of the public prosecutor, and in this rehearsal play, he doubles the role of public prosecutor and the defense counsel. So in the real life, Sukatme is a person without a brief. Similarly, we have uh, Karnik, okay, a character in the play who talks about intimate theater. So full of loud words and voices, ideologies about theater. But Karnik, we understand, is also a hypocrite. Even Balu Rokhde, Poshke, all these characters are all presented as um, embodiments of normal human hypocrisy. So we have at the center Mr. and Mrs. Kashikar. Mr. and Mrs. Kashikar also appeared to be very hostile towards Leela Banare. So this is a kind of rat race that is going on, and the absurd uh, action of this rehearsal that appears to be meaningless, appears to be very comic, turns out to be sordid, and gradually, through a parody, through a mock rehearsal, the tragic life of individuals are all revealed. So a lot of them, means almost most of the characters, they try to accuse Binare. And in the first half of the play, we find that she is, yes, of course, able to some extent, outsmart all these characters. Okay, but towards the end, she is defeated. So this play has a peculiar structure. So you must be having this text with you. Silence the Court is in session. This is an Oxford variation of the text, and we have in the text, this text is translated by Priya Adarkar. Priya Adarkar's translation, excellent translation. And in this text, we have an excellent introduction given by Kumud Mehta. So that introduction contains several aspects of the play, especially the compositional aspect, the art of characterization, how Tendulkar has presented the characters. So before the evening performance, these characters, these actors have time to kill, time to spend, and they therefore select a topical issue related to their life in order to perform the court trial session. The local Samant who has been picked up, and this local Samant has to be taught about the intricacies of theatre, the court procedure. Binare is therefore selected as a convict. He is kept placed for trial. So it appears to be a harmless game at a beginning. Eric Berne, in his famous work called Games People Play, has shown how the psychological games are used in order to expose the characters. So here also we have a kind of psychological game, a game of interrogations. And Leela Banare is placed as a convict who is asked different questions related to her personal life. Leela Banare at the beginning thinks that her life is her own, her personal life, it is not the business of others. But gradually what happens in the play, we find that she is a victim, and her life is not a personal life, rather it is a public life. Almost every character of the play knows about Leela Banare, although Banare thinks that no one knows about her secrets. And as she is exposed before the audience, we also find that other characters who are related to her are similarly exposed. So this game that begins with a playful way gradually becomes grim. The accusations against Benares are all based partly on conjecture, partly on heresy, but they all come together, and all the accusations that are hurled against her, they turn out to be true. Even the local innocent Samant falls in the trap, So he is using another fictional work, okay, in order to give his testimony. And interestingly, his fictional account of the same situation as he has read in a novel turns out to be true, applicable. Here we find that this play blurs the gap between romance and realism. Okay, as if the world that separates our own imaginative response as well as our own realistic response becomes gradually blurred. I said that the play also balances the real with the surreal, real with the surreal. In one section, when Leela Banare tries to go out, the door latch, okay, door latch is has fallen, and she injures her finger. She cannot escape. She cannot escape. She is trapped. Okay, in this mock trial, she is trapped. She cannot escape. She must again return back. We find that finally a verdict, a judgment is made against her, and the judgment is very savage. Mr. Cassicker, playing the role of a judge, finally places his verdict that the infant born out of this illegitimate relationship between Leela Banare and Professor Damle must be destroyed. She must lose her teaching job. Teaching job was her only source of hope, her source of livelihood. She has to lose that because a teacher is also a social member, and whatever morals the teacher has, that is transferred to the student, to the people, especially in the schools, and that should not be done. And therefore, Leela Banare will lose her teaching job. And there is also the abandonment of Leela Banare. Professor Damle disclaims Leela Banare. So the playwright Vijay Tendulkar has presented really the plight of the female in the contemporary society, especially a working woman, a female like Leela Banare. Her spirit, her determination, her commitment to life, even her love, that is spoken in realistic manner. These are all shown within the parameters or the praxis, the real practice of a dominant patriarchy. So the institutional apparatuses that work to repress, to suppress, and to convert this Leela Banare, presented faithfully by Vijay Tendulkar. Towards the end of the play, we find that Leela Banare is allowed to deliver her long soliloquy. So this soliloquy reveals the paradoxical nature of her existence. The contradictions in society, these are all revealed. The play is dialectical. We do not know whether to support the characters or to support Leela Banare. But one thing is sure, that the playwright has indeed represented a contemporary social problem faithfully in the play. So with this short brief introduction to the play, we will directly jump into the play. Silence the Court is the session. This translation was first presented in English at the Madras Players. Okay, Madras Players at the Museum Theatre Madras in March 1971. So this is the theatrical history of this play in translation. So it was translated in English by Priya Ardharkar, and then it was presented on the stage by Madras Players at the Museum Theatre Madras in March 1971. This play was then directed by Ammu Mathew. Ammu Mathew directed the play, and we have different characters in the play. So I will just make a brief introduction to the characters so that you can understand the context in which the players are there. Samant is this villager who will be accompanying Leela Banare. Will be staying throughout the rehearsal. Leela Banare, the central protagonist of the play. Sukhatme is there. I said he is a briefless barrister without any case in the real life, but in this rehearsal as well as in the evening play, he will be playing the role of a lawyer. There are servant characters carrying the stage props and other articles. Balu Rokhde is another important character in the play. This Balu Rokhde has been adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Kashikar, who are childless. We also have Pokshe. Pokshe is also a member of this group. We have a character named Karnik, a member of the group, and a few local residents that appear towards the end of the play. So this is a small cast, not too many players are there, but this group theatre comes to perform the role. If you have seen the movie by Satyadev Dubey, the Hindi version, the Marathi version of the movie, if you see that movie, you will find that they are traveling by a train, Okay, after traveling by the train, reaching the suburban place, they then move to the tenement theater house in order to perform the play. So when the curtain opens, what we find? A theater house. Okay, so there is no kind of extra decoration required. This theater house becomes a theater house in the play even when the curtain is raised. We find that there is a stage in the stage. Okay, in the stage there is a theater house. That means a raised platform is there on which the play is to be performed, and other characters enter to the hall through the door, enter the hall through the door. So if you have the text with you, let us go for a reading of the text, Act 1. So related to my discussion, if you have any question, you can raise the question and then I will directly go into the text. So I just talked about the composition history of
Hello.
the play. Yes.
May I ask one question, sir?
Yes, ask question.
Sir, when it had been translated by Priya Agarkar, Silence the Court is in session.
Yeah, in 70s, the play was translated and performed by
17th century.
yeah,
70.
1970. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the work
Thank
was
you.
translated, and I said it was first performed in English
Hmm.
by the Madras players at the
Yes.
Museum Theatre, Madras, in March
Yes.
1971. Okay, directed by
Hmm.
Ammu Matthew. Yes, any other question?
No, sir.
So open the text, follow the text. I said Vijay Tendulkar's The Silence the Court is in Session is a naturalistic play that requires a lot of stage direction. It is a play meant for the proscenium theatre. Therefore, elaborate stage direction will be there as we find in the plays of Bernard Shaw. In the same way, if you have read Arms and the Man or Major Barbara, you will find elaborate stage direction. So everything is written by the playwright and the action has to be done according to the instruction given by the playwright. And in this naturalistic play, we also have a tendency of treating the objects, stage props, characters, okay, even the action, language, symbolic. Okay, therefore, this play is also a symbolic play where some particular object, character, situation, dialogue, words have multiple function and they are something more than what they are actually. Okay, therefore they are symbols. So Act 1 opens with lights go up on a completely empty hall. So today I will be discussing mainly on the opening stage direction of the play. And how does it reveal Tendulkar's theatricality? Okay, so the topic of discussion is Tendulkar's theatricality with reference to the opening scene of the play, the stage direction. Lights go up on the completely empty hall. It has two doors, one to enter one by and one to go to an adjoining room. Within the hall are a built-in platform, one or two old wooden chairs, these are there on the stage, an old box that is also there on the stage, and we find that these stage properties are realistic. Okay, three-dimensional real stage properties. These are not painted pictures. Okay, one by one they enter, and there are doors, one to enter, one to go, adjoining room. One side of the hall seems to go leftward from the audience's view, leftward into the wings. So this left wall is called the first wall. So on the left wall we have wings, and here it is almost like a hall. It goes to leftward into the wings. Within the hall are a built-in platform, one or two old wooden chairs, an old box, a stool, and sundry other things. These are all lying together, jumbled together, as if in a lumber room. A clock is there. This clock is out of order. On the wall, some worn-out portraits of national leaders, a wooden board with the names of donors, a picture of God Ganesha. God Ganesha is patron of theatre, hung on the door. The door is closed. So there are footsteps outside. We can hear the footsteps. Someone unlocks the door. That sound is also heard. A man sidles in, enters inside, and stands looking around as if seeing the hall for the first time. This is Samant. Okay. In his hand, a lock and a key, a toy parrot made of green cloth, and a book. So these are the properties carried by Samant. So Samant is the first character to enter the stage. So in this stage, we have functional stage props. Okay, remember this phrase, functional stage props. So functional stage props usually used in the naturalist theatre, and these stage properties are all three-dimensional, four-dimensional, real materials that are placed on the stage. But their function in the play, these functional stage props, function in the play sometimes become more than the function that is assigned to the play. For example, the clock that is there on the wall, out of order. Okay, the clock is out of order. So we cannot fix the time. So the movement of the clock is not required. It is out of order. Okay, so timelessness is suggested by this clock. Clock that actually suggests to us time. Here we do not have the clock representing time, rather the clock that is defunct, out of order, symbolizing timelessness. Timelessness because this might happen anywhere, everywhere. Okay, somewhere it has happened, but it can happen anywhere. Therefore, this fluidity of time, multiplicity of time segment is represented by the symbolic use of the clock. So first symbol we have identified, the clock. Then there are the worn out portraits of national leaders. Worn out portraits of the national leaders refer to the presence of some ideas, ideologies represented by these national leaders. So these national leaders who were talking about making of India, okay, post-independence condition. So these are leaders who have been talking about grand, okay, ideas about the development of Indian civilization, upliftment of people, okay, and these are all worn out. The portraits are all worn out, suggesting that the ideas that actually were represented by these people have now become redundant in modern society. These are worn out. The ideas have become worn out, like the portraits of national leaders. Once again, we have a naturalistic functional stage prop. In most of the halls, we find the portrait of the national leaders. So that is functional. It becomes symbolic because on this stage, we have the analysis of such ideas. For example, the emancipation of female. For last 74 years, we have been talking about the emancipation of Indian women. In the play also, the play had already 24, 26 years of Indian independence. So with 25 years of Indian independence, the play also presents the plight of the female, a middle class woman, a working woman, and her suffering. The old worn out patriarchy is still there. Strong hold of the patriarchy is still there in society. So we have the name of the donors. So name of the donors also becomes symbolic because these are the person who have contributed to the making of the theatre house. But in the play also we find that there are patrons supporting the theatre and other arts. But this play also reveals the hypocrisy of the patrons. Most of the donors are influenced by their own selfish motives. Okay, Lord Ganesha is there, and then we have the character Samant entering the room with some stage properties, and these stage properties also become symbolic. For example, a lock and a key. Okay, in this play, lock, key, bolt, door, windows, all these perform symbolic roles. So lock and key suggest entrapment. Okay, bolt also suggests entrapment. In a similar way, we have this use of lock and key in this play. There is also the use of toy parrot, and this functional toy parrot that Samant has got for his nephew will be used in the play as a symbolic stage prop. There will be song related to parrot. There will be song related to this toy. Okay, and then there is a book. I said this book this book will be revealing the gap between emotion, between romance and reality. Okay, between romance and reality. So Samant will be there saying something, reading the book. Okay, while reading the book, he will be saying something, and that will turn out to be true in the context of the play. So this book doesn't remain as mere book, a fiction, but turns out to be a functional stage prop as well as a symbolic stage prop. So the opening setting, when the curtain opens, we have a realistic setting with symbolic overtones. So this resembles the setting that we find in Synge's Riders to the Sea. You remember Riders to the Sea? All the stage properties that are functional, realistically presented on the stage, but gradually as the play progresses, most of the stage properties assume symbolic function and roles. For example, the net skin that is there at the back, okay, life in death. The rope is there. The rope is used for lowering the coffin in the grave. That rope is there hanging at the back. Okay. Then there is a loft, the straw loft, and the loaf of and the cloths of Michael are hidden in the loft. So the pig with a black feet will be eating the rope. Then there
Yes,
are
sir.
whiteboards at the back. Whiteboards are kept at the back. Yeah, that whiteboard also says about the burial. All the sons are dead. One by one, sons die. And what is more functional, utilitarian in this room is the presence of this whiteboard. Then there is the presence of the sea. How is the sea made visible? By the door. Whenever the door opens wide, we have the gust of wind representing the sea. The sea has invaded the house. So everyone is riders to the sea. Okay, because without challenging the waves of the sea, the life of the young man becomes meaningless. There is no sustainability. The island is a barren one, not productive one. So Bartley has to go out to earn his livelihood. He has to go to the Galway fair to sell his horses in order to get some money. Moria can survive, of course, with a dry fish or weed, but other members of the family, Nora, Kathleen, they cannot survive without that money. So money is important in their life. Even in that play, we have Kathleen spinning on the wheel. So she is performing the symbolic role of Clotho, Greek mythological Clotho. Whenever a bad news comes, she stops her spinning wheel. The wheel of life is stopped. Similarly, in this play also we have strict functional stage properties used that gradually assume symbolic role as the play progresses. So this can be said that the stage direction is realistic with symbolic overtones. As the play progresses, we have these stage properties developing into poetic metaphors. Okay, poetic metaphors. I am using a complicated term that is used in theater. Metaphor refers to the simple figurative device of representing one thing with the help of another through a figurative comparison between A and B. I said the door is closed. Okay, the door is closed. That means the entry of the outsider is prohibited. The door is closed. There is lock and key that represents the entrapment of human beings. A toy parrot. Toy parrot is a childish game that is being played, and we have the voice of the parrot. Okay, so there is the book in this play. The book also performs a symbolic role, revealing the discrepancy between romance and realism. Okay, as the play opens, Samant enters, first character to enter the stage. So Samant looking around. This is it. Okay, come in, come in. This is the hall. They seem to have cleaned it up a bit in the morning because of the show. Now we see Miss Banare following Samant. She enters after him. She is standing in the doorway. So this symbolic standing in the doorway of Binare. So she is not willing to enter the room. She is standing in the doorway. This is her condition, her state, perpetual state, to stand in a doorway, the threshold of life. She is not aware that this theater space will turn into a space where violence will be played on her. She will be forced to come out of herself, confess her love for Professor Damle, and the social prejudice will work against her, and she will be forced to reveal her baby stillborn. So she will be forced to abort the child. So she doesn't know about this. She is standing on the doorway. And what is her gesture? Mudra, Abhinaya. One fingertip is between her lips. So this mudra, fingertip is between her lips. What does it reveal about her? This reveals her playfulness. So you cannot expect a 30-year-old lady, okay, with a fingertip between her lips. So she is playing the game of a child, okay, innocent child. She is not. She is not. She is playful, but she is not childish. But whatever she is trying to show off to the audience or to the members of the group is that she is very natural, she is very vibrant, she is innocent. So she is, her fingertip is between her lips, and we will soon know that what has happened. She has injured her fingertip while opening the bolt. So what is this? This is a premonition. In Riders to the Sea, we have a star up against the moon. That was a premonition. So the vision of Bride Dara, that was a premonition to the eventual tragic happening that is to come. So she has a fingertip in between her lips. Okay, she has injured her finger and she is trying to suck the finger in order to alleviate her pain. She holds a basket of equipment and a purse. Okay. So someone says, "What's the matter? Did you catch your finger in the bolt? These old bolts are all the same. They just won't slide straight. And if the bolt stays out just a little bit and you don't pull it clean to one side, then what happens? Shut the door and you have it locked yourself in. Suck a little, suck it a little, you will feel better. The finger of my right hand once got caught in the lock. 5 days, for 5 days, it was so swollen. I couldn't tell the difference between my finger and my thumb. I had to do everything with my 4 fingers. So Saman's innocent conversational, talk reveals his position. So he is accompanying Leela Banare. He is sympathetic towards Leela Banare. And while he is talking in the natural way, talking about the injury that Leela Banare has, he is also saying something else. So this is the entrapment of human beings in the society. So from naturalism, the play will also move towards a symbolic one. And this serves as the prologue to the play. In classical plays, we have a prologue delivered by the chorus that tells us about the past, about the situation present, and acts as a shock absorber, even talks about the future course of action. So that choric function is performed by Saman, and these words are almost the words of premonitions, what is to come, that is still unsure, and yet these are revealed through these symbolic actions, gestures, and words. So the injury that Leela Banare has at the beginning of the play, caused by the bolt, rusty bolt, is also related to the rusty society, and she is caught up in the action, and she will not be able to understand the significance of this. She will later on, when she will find herself severely locked inside, she cannot escape because of the bolt. So the bolt become or serve a symbolic function in the play. So Banare says goodness to him. Yes, nothing is nothing. Okay, I have not injured much. Not at all. It is just a habit with me. But I am feeling marvelous. I got down at the station with all the others, and suddenly, after many days, I felt wonderful, wonderful. So, this is the energetic spirit of Lila Banare revealed. So, after the small mishap, she has already regained her strength and she finds herself much in this space and she is feeling marvelous. Someone says, why? Why is that? So, Banare, who knows? And I felt even more wonderful coming here with you. I am glad the others fell behind. We rushed ahead, didn't we? So after getting down from the train, they have rushed Samant and Binare. They have come first. Samant says, yes, indeed. I mean to say, I'm not in the habit of walking so fast. You do set a very lively pace, very lively, very lively. So the repetition of the lively also reveals the lively spirit of Binare. Binare says, not always, but today, how I walked. Okay, let's leave everyone behind. I thought, and go somewhere far, far away with you. So there's this latest repressed sensuality in Benare that is gradually revealed. So the Benare whom we meet at the beginning of the play presents to us an image that is entirely different from the Benare whom we meet at the end. There's a gradual
So we,
transformation of Benare.
sir, we
Hmm?
rushed ahead, Maneki sir. We rushed ahead.
We walked fast.
Oh,
We walked fast. We reached this place faster. So we left everyone behind. And what Vinara is saying that I thought that I will go somewhere far, far away with you. Samant is in a state of confusion. A village rustic who has just come to receive them and bring them to the theatre house. A villager. He is in a state of confusion. With me. Vinara says, yes, I like you very much. So she is flirting with this man, Samant. Samant is very shy, terribly shy, embarrassed. Tit, tit. Ha. I am hardly what? I am hardly able to accept this type of compliment that you have given. Benares says, you are very nice indeed. And shall I tell you something? You are a very pure and good person. I like you. Samant cannot believe this, that an urban modern lady, okay, modern lady, she is a working lady, is giving a village rustic compliments. So he is um, unable to accept this. Benares says, yes, yes, I like this hall very much too. She walks around it. So everything is very positive, positive, optimistic. Even when she is hurt, she looks at life with a positivism, a positive energy and spirit. Someone says, the hall too, it is an old one. Whenever there are functions in the village, they take place here. You could say that this hall just exists for the sake of functions, speeches, receptions, weddings, to say nothing of the women bhajan group. They practice here in the afternoons. Yes, tonight there is a program, you see. So the bhajan practice must be off. They give bhajans a holiday when there is a show at night. How else would the women finish their chores by nightfall? Eh? Binare is now cautious, inquisitive. Your wife is in the bhajan group, I suppose. Interestingly, why is this question asked? Yeah, any response? Why is Binare interested in the marital status of Samant? Binare is asking inquisitively. Your wife is in the bhajan group, I suppose. Why do you think Binare is interested in the marital status of Samant? So she is flirting with Samant, or she has something else in her mind? Is she simply playful, keeping a brave front, just entertaining herself? Or there is something secret hidden in her mind and she is trying to come with that plan? So why do you think is she asking the marital status? So Samant feels again shy. Ooh, wrong, wrong, not wife, sister-in-law. I don't have a wife at all. So Benare is pointing to the finger at the green cloth parrot in his hand. Then who is that for? For whom have you kept this parrot, purchased this parrot? Saman says, this you mean? This is for my nephew, a lovely child. Do you like this toy? Benare says, yes, yes. Saman then goes on saying about his marital status. He says, I am not married yet. No particular reason. I earned enough to keep body and soul together, but I never got married. Do you know where there were magic shows here some time ago? Sleight of hand, hypnotism, and all that. So he's referring to a contemporary magic show that has taken place in this particular hall. And now we will see how the subconscious will gradually get revealed and we get the real image of the characters. Benare is playing with Samant. Did you see them? Samant says, what do you think? I'm here for every show. Is that so? Have you seen? So Samant confesses, yes, yes, I don't miss a single one. What other amusement is there in the village? So Benare says, that's true. Benare goes very close to him. Stage direction, she goes very close to him and says in confiding tones, why do you think Benare is behaving in such a manner? What is the reason? Why do you think Benare is behaving in such a manner? Any reason? We do not know. So here we have Benare coming very close to him and saying in confiding tones, did you see the magic from very near? So Samant is becoming conscious of the physical proximity. Yes, that is, I wasn't very close. He tries to escape, but still close enough. Why? Benare, as close as ever. She comes very close to Samant. How do they do that? Cutting her tongue and pulling it together again. So Samant backing away a little. So he is already conscious that Leela Benare has come very close to him. A tongue, well, it is hard to describe. But tell me, but she comes as close as before. Embarrassed, he backs. Okay, backs again, once more. So he is displaying the magic. It is like that. I will try. I mean, I won't be able to look. This is my tongue. He stretches his first joint in his finger towards her. Benare says, let me see. She makes it an excuse to get even closer to him for a moment or two. She is keenly aware of his nearness to her, but he is not. Samant with concentration. This is my tongue. Look, it is cut. Now what? It will bleed. But it doesn't. Why doesn't it bleed? There must be something for it. In it, hypnotism. That is some trick. That's why it doesn't bleed. Nothing happens, nothing at all. It doesn't even hurt. So perhaps as a response to his complete innocence, Samant is totally innocent. He is not actually responding to the allurement of Leela Benare as she is trying to molest this man. This man is not aware of this. As because he is very innocent, she moves away from him. So as if she is dropped. She is unable to attract the attention of this young man. Benare says, why haven't they reached here? They always amble along. People should be brisk. Yes, I was telling you about the tongue, hypnotism. So Benare just changes the topic now. In school, when the first bell rings, my foot already on the threshold. So we keep up to this page number 3 of the text of Oxford edition. So now I open this for discussion. Any observation you want to make? So what does it reveal about the play? The opening stage direction. I said that the opening stage direction is naturalistic and has a tendency towards the symbolic. It is a proscenium theatre. Everything is set as it is in life, true to life. Slice of life reality is presented on the stage. We have been introduced to the two characters, Leela Benare and Samant. And in this opening scene, they perform the choric role. Choric role means roles that were assigned to the classical Greek chorus. Okay, in order to represent the theme, the character, the plot. Even in the Sanskrit tradition, we have the presence of Shutradhar and the person who accompanies the Shutradhar called the Nati. Okay, male female pairing is done in the opening scene. In Sanskrit play like Micche Katika, we have at first the benediction, and then the first actor comes, the Sutradhar comes on the stage manager comes and talks about the play, about the playwright, about the theme of the play, and gives some introduction to the characters. The basic characters are introduced. He talks about the past, he talks about the present, he talks about the future course of action, and takes the audience directly to the thick of action. He is supported by the Nati, the female actress. Okay, Nati is there who supports this Sutradhar in order to introduce. So using the same tradition of Tamasha, Tamasha I said is a Marathi theatrical tradition. Not only Marathi, but also it was popular in Rajasthan, in the western Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, nowadays Chhattisgarh. This tradition was very important, Tamasha tradition. In Tamasha also we have the presence of the Sutradhar introducing the play with the help of a Nati, okay, a female actor. So they introduce the play after giving salutations to the audience. They start initiating the play. Here we have two characters on the stage. Okay, in the naturalistic, realistic tradition, they are there. They have come on the stage with some purpose. They are entirely functional, and yet through their conversation, what they are revealing can be related to the theme of the play, the central theme of the play. Theater depends on the arousal of suspense. Suspense is generated in the mind of the audience. In the naturalist play, beginning is a beginning which has no previous action. Okay, and this beginning will gradually lead to the middle. Middle will finally lead to the end. Everything will be tied together with a cause and logic relationship. Okay, this is called the causality of action. Cause and effect relationship. According to Aristotle, only the necessary and the probable should be there in order to make the plot united. The unity of plot depends on the arranging of a sequence of action. The sequence of action, the incidents, these incidents are all closely tied together in a cause and effect relationship or causal logic. Only necessary and probable things should follow each other. So here again we have the opening scene where we have the choric function performed by two characters, and these two characters also develop the action by introducing the beginning. Soon we find that these characters will be talking about the other characters of the play, introducing them one by one, even before the other characters enter the stage. So the characterization works on twofold. Characterization in such realistic or naturalistic play works twofold. First is called the internal characterization. The character reveals himself or herself. The second is external characterization. That means other characters talk or speak about the character. So with these two ways, in these two ways, the characters are gradually revealed. The opening serves as a suitable exposition to the play. Okay, the opening of Silence the Court session serves as a true exposition. Number one, to the characters. Number two, to the theme. Number three, to the theatrical nature of the text. Okay, the players are there on the stage and they are talking about the evening play. Samant is there to accompany them. So the theatricality is much dependent on the action, and this action is also related to the theatrical mode of rehearsal. These are all exposed in the opening scene. Yes, any question or observation?
Sir, the first line, the lights go up on a completely empty hall. Is it not an antithetical idea? The lights and the empty hall.
Yeah, someone has to switch on the light. Okay, it is afternoon, I understand. It is afternoon. So
But
the hall
does
is
it
dark.
symbolize something?
Yes, it will be symbolized. I said everything is natural, functional. Okay, gradually it will be related to the entire structure of the play. But in order to begin the play, so curtain will go up. So the characters are outside the theater. Okay, so the focus has to be placed on the stage. It has to be made visible. So that is functional part of the theatricality. And as you are saying that this has symbolic overtones, that we can understand only through the progress of the play. Towards the end of the play, it will again become dark. The space will become dark because of little light, and then the windows will be open. Okay, so you can say yes. So the central theme of the play is from light to darkness or darkness to light. What is the central theme? Tamsoma Jyotirmaya Jyotirgamaya. That is the central theme of the play. Tamso means darkness. From darkness, take me to the world of light. So if you say that the opening line also strikes this keynote of the play. Remember that in Shakespeare's Macbeth, only 60 words are spoken by three witches. And in the 60 words, the entire play is narrated in a very symbolic manner. When shall we three meet again in thunder, lightning, or in rain? Where upon the heath? Okay, when then will be the setting of the sun. So when the battle is lost or won, there we shall meet Macbeth. So everything is where upon the heath, and then they talk about Grey Malkin, about Paddock, supernaturals, okay, witchery, and on I come, and then fair is foul, foul is fair, hover through the fog and fill the air. So within 60 words, the entire play is narrated in the chorus. So you can say, yes, this play is also using such devices. In theater, you cannot say everything. Okay, something has to be suggested. The best way of seeing theater is to interpret theater. Okay, so if you interpret this as a symbol of the movement of the characters from the world of darkness to light, represented through the opening lightning of the hall, I would agree, yes. And if you say that this is just a realistic, someone has to put on the light in order to show the stage, it is naturalistic. So both come together. Yes, any other question?
Sir, why Tendulkar emphasizes on the color green, the parrot made of green, just because green symbolizes life?
Yes, again, the problem is that we in theater use symbolic colors. We understand, yes. But here parrot, we know, is green. So this parrot is made up of green cloth. Okay, green word repeats itself in the text. Okay, grass is green. So you can relate that grass is green. Leela Banare sings a song. Grass is green. So there the color green repeats. So in our dress, whenever a pattern or design is repeated, we call it motif. So you can say that green color is a motif in the play that gets repeated. And whenever there is a motif, it has symbolic representation. Yes, green represents virility, vitality, okay, greenness of life. It also refers to the green-eyed Othello. You remember green-eyed Othello, jealousy. So these multiple layers of the word green comes in the text.
মানে আমি একটা মানে এক্সপ্লেন করছি, মানে যেহেতু বেনারের মধ্যে একটা মানে একটা নতুন সৃষ্টি বেনারের মধ্যে রয়েছে, তো গ্রিন অলসো সিম্বলাইজেস আ নিউ লাইফ, তো এই দুটো কি ইন্টার রিলেটেড, মানে এইটার জন্য আমি জিজ্ঞাসা করলাম।
Yes, I have responded to your question. I said yes. If you regard it as natural, the color of parrot is green. It is natural, as because the word green has been repeated in the play again and again. I refer to the green grass that is mentioned. Okay, therefore the green color assumes a symbolic function, and this green can also turn to gray. Okay, green that you say is a symbol of youthfulness. This green can also be a mask of greenness. Okay, mask of youthfulness. Binara is 30-year-old. Why is she putting on this green mask of youthfulness? Okay, so it can have symbolic function. It can have symbolic function. That depends on how you are reading the text. If you are able to interrelate the function, symbolic function of the words as poetic metaphors. If you read the word green as a poetic metaphor of the youthfulness of Leela Banare, it is also possible, as the play has this in the entire text. Motifs are there in the text. So I accept your view that yes, it represents the virility, the greenness of life, but it also represents the grayness of life, the hypocrisy of life, the mask of life. So green is not green always in the play. Leela Banari is playing like a child in the play, and she talks about the nursery book where she has written the grass is green. Okay, she has scribbled that and she repeats that. So the grass is green for an innocent child is not the green color for an adult. So different ways of looking at the colors, that is there. You cannot just say that this is a symbolic use only. It is also naturalistic because a parrot is of course green in color. Remember the pig with the black feet. You remember in Riders to the Sea there was a pig
Yes, sir.
with a black feet. So it is a superstition, okay, among the Gaelic people, among the Irish people, that a pig with a black feet is ominous, representing hell. And if this pig with a black feet is eating the rope, okay, rope, if that pig is eating the rope or eating something, what does it represent? Represent the coexistence of life and death. That is symbolic. But this pig with a black feet has eaten the rope. Okay, that can be also natural.
রেড
Normal.
মেয়ার এন্ড গ্রে মেয়ারও ছিল ওখানে একটা, ওটাও লাইফ এন্ড
Yeah.
ডেথ কে সিম্বলাইজ করে।
Very good, very good. Yes. So that can be simply the natural color of the horses or the mare. Okay, but it is also symbolically used here in the text. Red represents death, violence, death by violence. Okay, gray symbolizes the
Inclement situation.
okay. So we are able to interpret the play also in symbolic terms. That scope is there. As this is a naturalistic play with symbolic overtones, such symbols are replete, are possible. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Sir, may I ask something?
Yes.